Drawing can hold an entire life in a single line. Today we're counting down the top 15 drawing artists still working in 2025. Artists who treat pencil, charcoal, ink, and pastel as engines of thought, memory, and truth. Expect towering charcoal dramas, tiny meditative marks that feel like prayer, and bold confrontational ink works that won't let you look away. Stay with me to the end. Number 1 will change how you see what a drawing can do. If you enjoy this deep dive, please like and subscribe. It really helps and supports the channel. Jorge Queiroz. Jorge Queiroz is one of the most fascinating contemporary drawing artists working today, a Portuguese artist whose surreal, dreamlike drawings blend imagination, memory, and abstraction into something uniquely his own. Born in 1966 in Lisbon, Queiroz has spent decades developing a visual language that feels both mysterious and deeply psychological. His drawings are like visual puzzles, layered, fluid, and filled with shifting spaces. Using pencil, ink, watercolor, and gouache, Queiroz builds intricate scenes that never quite settle into a single narrative. Figures, architecture, and landscapes seem to dissolve and reappear as if glimpsed in a dream. Every mark feels alive, like a thought in motion or a fragment of a subconscious story. What makes Queiroz's approach so distinctive is how he balances precision with ambiguity. His compositions often seem abstract at first glance, but the longer you look, the more human forms, faces, and gestures emerge from the chaos. This play between clarity and uncertainty gives his drawings their quiet tension, a feeling that something is always unfolding just beyond reach. In the art market, Jorge Queiroz's drawings typically sell between $20,000 and $80,000, depending on the size, period, and medium. Collectors value his work for its psychological depth and painterly complexity, drawings that feel like living organisms, constantly changing and revealing new layers of meaning. Sandra Vásquez de la Horra. Sandra Vásquez de la Horra is a Chilean-born artist whose drawings feel like dreams on paper, quiet, strange, and deeply human. She was born in 1967 in Viña del Mar, Chile, and her artistic journey began under the shadow of dictatorship, where imagination often became a form of survival. That early environment shaped the kind of stories she draws today, ones that balance tenderness with unease, humor with haunting memory. Her drawings are small in scale, but enormous in emotion. Using nothing more than pencil, watercolor, and sometimes colored pencil, she sketches hybrid creatures, floating faces, and symbols that look as if they've wandered out of old folk tales or forgotten myths. After finishing a drawing, she dips the paper in wax, a step that gives her work a translucent glow and also makes each piece feel preserved, like an artifact from another world. This wax dipping process isn't just aesthetic, it's symbolic. For Vásquez de la Horra, the wax becomes a form of protection, sealing her personal fears, cultural memories, and feminine stories beneath a fragile yet enduring surface. Every line, every smudge feels hand-stitched with meaning. Collectors and curators admire her authenticity and her courage to stay small, even when the art world often rewards spectacle. Her market value is growing steadily. Today, her drawings are typically valued between $5,000 and $15,000, while rare, large-scale works can exceed that range. It's not the price that defines her, though. It's the sincerity. Sandra Vásquez de la Horra reminds us that drawing doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It can whisper and still move mountains. Robert Longo. Robert Longo is one of the few artists who turned drawing into something monumental. Born in Brooklyn in 1953, he came of age at a time when painting and performance dominated the art world. But Longo chose charcoal. For him, drawing was not a preliminary step, it was the main event. He works in black and white, using charcoal and graphite to create images that look almost like photographs. Every line, every shadow is built up slowly, layer after layer, until the surface glows with intensity. His drawings are huge, sometimes the size of a wall, yet what makes them powerful is not just their scale, but their stillness. Longo's subjects are often drawn from real life, crashing waves, bullets frozen in flight, wild animals, or close-ups of human faces. But behind these realistic images is a sense of tension, like time has been paused at its most dramatic point. He often describes his process as trying to make the invisible visible, turning fleeting moments into something permanent. His technique demands discipline. He photographs his subjects first, then spends weeks translating them into charcoal, erasing, blending, and reworking the image until it feels alive. He uses the darkness of charcoal to express both beauty and violence, calm and chaos. That contrast runs through all his work. In today's market, Robert Longo's large-scale drawings can sell anywhere from $150,000 to over $700,000, depending on their size and subject. But beyond the numbers, what sets him apart is how he turned charcoal, one of the oldest artistic tools, into a symbol of modern power. Robert Longo reminds us that drawing can be cinematic, epic, and timeless, even without color. Marcel van Eeden. Marcel van Eeden was born in 1965 in The Hague, Netherlands, and he has built one of the most quietly fascinating practices in contemporary drawing. While many artists look to the future, Van Eeden's art lives in the past, literally. He has a personal rule. He only draws from photographs, documents, or printed material that existed before he was born. Working mostly in black ballpoint pen and graphite, Van Eeden creates small, detailed drawings that look like old film stills or faded memories. He finds forgotten photographs in vintage magazines or archives and then redraws them, stripping away context until only the mystery remains. Each image feels like a clue to a story you'll never fully understand. His approach is both disciplined and poetic. Every drawing is meticulously cross-hatched, line by line, with the kind of patience that comes from deep respect for the craft. The result is a collection of ghostly scenes, old cars, streets, interiors, and anonymous faces that feel timeless. Over the years, Van Eeden has expanded these images into entire visual novels, creating sequences of hundreds of drawings that unfold like noir films. Through this method, he turns the act of drawing into storytelling, blending fiction and history until they're inseparable. In the current market, his drawings usually sell in the $15,000 to $40,000 range, though large series or multi-panel works can go higher. They're valued not for spectacle, but for their quiet endurance. Marcel van Eeden reminds us that drawing isn't just about what we see, it's about what we've lost and what still lingers in the dark. Marc Bauer. Marc Bauer is one of the most respected contemporary draftsmen working today, a Swiss artist known for his haunting black and white drawings that blur the line between history, memory, and imagination. Born in Geneva in 1975, Bauer has spent his career using graphite, charcoal, and ink to reconstruct forgotten stories, often drawn from photographs, news archives, or personal memories. What makes Bauer's work so powerful is the way he uses drawing as a form of storytelling, almost like a psychological excavation. His drawings are never clean or overly polished. Instead, they feel fragile and human, full of erasures, smudges, and the texture of thought itself. Through these marks, he explores how images shape collective memory, how violence is represented, and how history can be both personal and political. Bauer's process is deeply research-based. He doesn't simply recreate images, he reinterprets them. Sometimes he'll draw the same figure several times, slightly altered, as if trying to recall a fading memory. This repetition creates a cinematic rhythm across his installations, where drawings are displayed like fragments of a larger narrative. In terms of market value, Bauer's drawings generally sell between $25,000 and $80,000, depending on size and period. But beyond price, what collectors and curators love about Bauer's work is how it makes drawing feel urgent again, like a living language capable of confronting both personal and collective trauma. Andrea Bowers. Andrea Bowers is one of the most politically engaged and socially conscious drawing artists working today. Born in 1965 in Wilmington, Ohio, and now based in Los Angeles, her work bridges activism and fine art, using drawing as a tool to document protest, honor grassroots movements, and visualize the struggle for justice. What sets Bowers apart is her commitment to merging art and activism in a way that feels deeply human. She often creates large-scale, hyper-detailed colored pencil drawings that depict real protest banners, hand-painted signs, or environmental activists in action. Every line she draws carries emotion, labor, and empathy, as if she's archiving the voices of those who refuse to be silenced. Her practice is grounded in collaboration. Bowers works closely with activists, feminists, and climate defenders, turning their acts of resistance into timeless works of art. Through this, she elevates what might otherwise be overlooked, the courage of everyday people fighting for change. She has said that drawing, for her, is not just about representation, but participation, a way of standing beside those she portrays. In terms of market value, Bowers' works on paper typically sell between $30,000 and $120,000, depending on the complexity and size. But her influence extends far beyond the market. She has become a vital voice in contemporary art, reminding us that beauty and activism can coexist, and that art can be both aesthetically powerful and morally awake. Matt Mullican. Matt Mullican is a visionary American artist whose drawing practice has stretched the boundaries of visual language for over 5 decades. Born in 1951 in Santa Monica, California, Mullican is best known for creating an entire symbolic universe, a system of signs, diagrams, and cosmologies that map out how humans understand reality. His drawings are not just images, they are frameworks for seeing and thinking. Mullican's use of drawing is both analytical and emotional. He often works with graphite, ink, or colored pencil on paper. But what truly defines his approach is his obsession with systems, with how we organize meaning through signs and symbols. He draws worlds, maps, and coded structures that represent the 5 worlds of perception, from physical reality to the world of the subjective. In his hands, drawing becomes a language of philosophy. He is also known for entering altered states of consciousness, often performing as that person, a trance-like version of himself who draws intuitively without rational control. Through this persona, Mullican explores the borders between consciousness and imagination, life and afterlife, belief and knowledge. In the art market, his works on paper typically sell between $20,000 and $100,000, depending on period, medium, and provenance. But collectors and curators value Mullican's drawings for more than price. They are like maps of human thought itself. As of 2025, Matt Mullican continues to work actively in Berlin and New York, producing new drawings and installations that push the limits of how art can represent experience. Jorinde Voigt. Jorinde Voigt is one of the most distinctive voices in contemporary drawing, a German artist who has transformed the language of line, rhythm, and abstraction into a poetic system of thought. Born in 1977 in Frankfurt am Main, Voigt creates drawings that look like maps of invisible forces, visual scores of emotions, memories, and perceptions. Her drawings are precise yet lyrical, built through intricate notations, curves, and diagram-like structures. She often starts from something intangible, like the movement of music, the passage of time, or even the experience of falling in love, and translates it into visual form using pencil, ink, and gold leaf. The result is a kind of musical abstraction where every mark feels intentional, rhythmic, and alive. What makes Voigt's work so powerful is how she combines intellect with emotion. Each drawing reads like a piece of music, a philosophy, and a feeling all at once. She draws inspiration from literature, physics, and poetry, turning abstract ideas into structured beauty. Over time, she's developed her own coded visual language, using arrows, circles, and text fragments to describe the flow of thought, energy, and sensation. In terms of market value, Jorinde Voigt's works on paper generally sell between $40,000 and $150,000, depending on scale and complexity. Collectors are drawn to her because her drawings feel both deeply personal and scientifically structured, emotional yet rational, poetic yet mathematical. Kiki Smith. Kiki Smith is one of the most influential American artists of her generation, a figure who has redefined what drawing can mean in contemporary art. Born in 1954 in Nuremberg, Germany, and raised in New Jersey, Smith's practice spans sculpture, printmaking, and installation. But drawing has always been at the heart of her art, the quiet, intimate space where her ideas begin. Her drawings are often raw, poetic, and deeply human. Using graphite, ink, watercolor, and sometimes gold leaf, Kiki Smith explores the body, especially the female body, in all its vulnerability and strength. Her subjects range from anatomical studies and self-portraits to mythological figures, animals, and celestial imagery. Through delicate lines and transparent layers, she gives physical form to ideas about life, death, spirituality, and regeneration. What makes Kiki Smith's drawings so distinct is their emotional honesty. They feel handmade and tender, like visual whispers about existence itself. She treats drawing not as a preparatory step, but as an independent act of discovery, a way to think, to feel, and to connect with the world. Her work often blurs the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual, reminding us that fragility and power can coexist within a single gesture of the hand. In the art market, her drawings typically sell between $40,000 and $200,000, depending on medium, scale, and period. But for most collectors and curators, her value goes far beyond price. Her works embody an emotional truth that feels timeless. Vija Celmins. Vija Celmins is one of the most revered drawing artists of our time, known for her quiet, meticulous renderings of the natural world that transform observation into meditation. Born in 1938 in Riga, Latvia, and later emigrating to the United States, Celmins built a lifelong practice rooted in patience, precision, and contemplation. Her drawings are instantly recognizable: oceans, star fields, desert floors, spider webs, all rendered in graphite with astonishing detail and restraint. But Celmins' goal isn't realism for its own sake. Instead, she uses drawing as a way to slow down seeing itself. Every line, every texture is the result of countless hours spent observing and repeating until the image becomes something beyond representation, a meditation on time, perception, and the act of looking. Working exclusively in grayscale, Celmins eliminates color to focus purely on tone and surface. Her drawings feel both infinite and intimate, vast cosmic spaces contained within the boundaries of a sheet of paper. She often revisits the same subjects over decades, turning familiar natural motifs into timeless studies of stillness and endurance. In the art market, Vija Celmins' drawings are highly sought after, often selling between $250,000 and $1.5 million, depending on scale, subject, and period. Her work continues to rise in value because of its rarity, precision, and spiritual resonance. Glenn Ligon. Glenn Ligon is one of the most important conceptual artists of his generation, an American artist whose use of drawing, text, and language has reshaped how we think about identity, race, and history. Born in 1960 in the Bronx, New York, Ligon's work takes the written word and transforms it into powerful visual statements about visibility, representation, and belonging. Though often associated with painting and installation, drawing plays a central role in Ligon's practice. His graphite, charcoal, and oil stick drawings explore the tension between legibility and obscurity. He frequently stencils words or phrases from writers like James Baldwin, Zora Neale Hurston, and Walt Whitman, repeating them across the surface until they blur into abstraction. What begins as text becomes texture, and meaning dissolves into silence. In his drawings, Ligon invites viewers to confront how language can both reveal and conceal. He uses smudges, repetition, and erasure as visual metaphors for the Black experience in America, for the ways stories are told, rewritten, or suppressed. The act of drawing, in his hands, becomes both a poetic and political gesture. In the art market, Ligon's works on paper are highly prized, with drawings typically selling between $100,000 and $500,000 depending on the scale and series. Collectors and curators value them for their intellectual rigor and emotional depth, artworks that feel both minimalist and deeply personal. Tracey Emin. Tracey Emin is one of the most emotionally honest and influential British artists of her generation, and drawing has always been the beating heart of her practice. Born in 1963 in London and raised in Margate, Emin is known for her raw confessional style, where art becomes a form of autobiography. Whether she's working with neon, sculpture, or painting, it all begins with drawing, her most intimate and instinctive form of expression. Emin's drawings are direct, vulnerable, and deeply human. With just a few lines of pencil, ink, or gouache, she captures the fragility of love, heartbreak, sex, loss, and loneliness. Her figures are often nude, sometimes abstracted, yet always full of emotion, like visual diary entries of a life lived openly. Every line feels urgent, as if drawn straight from the heart without hesitation or disguise. What makes her drawings so powerful is their honesty. Emin doesn't try to impress with technical perfection. Instead, she uses drawing as a language of feeling, a place where emotion and imperfection coexist beautifully. Her influences range from Egon Schiele to Edvard Munch, but her voice is entirely her own, raw, confessional, and courageous. In the art market, Tracey Emin's works on paper typically sell between $20,000 and $200,000, depending on the period, medium, and subject. Her larger or more significant drawings, especially those tied to key exhibitions, can reach even higher at auction. Toyin Ojih Odutola. Toyin Ojih Odutola is one of the most celebrated contemporary drawing artists of her generation, known for transforming the language of portraiture through her extraordinary use of line, texture, and imagination. Born in 1985 in Ife, Nigeria, and raised in the United States, Odutola has built an international reputation for her large-scale, meticulously rendered drawings that explore identity, history, and storytelling from an African perspective. Her medium of choice, graphite, charcoal, and pastel, becomes something almost painterly in her hands. She uses these traditional materials to create luminous, layered surfaces where skin is not just a color but a topography, alive with meaning. Every mark feels intentional, every line carries emotion. Through drawing, she constructs entire worlds, fictional narratives that challenge how we perceive race, class, and belonging. Odutola's figures often appear regal, contemplative, and self-possessed, existing within imagined aristocratic families or invented histories. Yet beneath their elegance lies a quiet political charge, a reimagining of African identity beyond the gaze of Western art history. Her drawings invite viewers into spaces of intimacy and complexity, where storytelling replaces stereotype. In the art market, her works on paper typically sell between $150,000 and $600,000, depending on the size, series, and exhibition history. Her drawings are held in the collections of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, MoMA, and the British Museum, a testament to her global significance. Kara Walker. Kara Walker is one of the most influential and provocative contemporary artists alive today, and drawing has always been central to her work. Born in 1969 in Stockton, California, Walker is known for her fearless exploration of race, power, sexuality, and history, especially the brutal legacy of slavery in America. While she works across mediums from sculpture to film, it is through drawing that her imagination finds its rawest and most direct expression. Walker's drawings often feel like pages torn from a collective subconscious, darkly beautiful, unsettling, and impossible to ignore. She combines delicate draftsmanship with bold, often disturbing imagery, exposing the myths that shape America's racial identity. Her graphite, ink, and watercolor drawings depict scenes that are both historical and fictional, mixing 19th century visual styles with contemporary critique. Through her famous black silhouettes and expressive ink works, Walker reclaims the visual language of history to tell stories that were once silenced. Her drawings are never comfortable. They challenge the viewer to confront violence, desire, and shame, forcing a reckoning with the deep contradictions of human nature and national memory. In the art market, Kara Walker's drawings are highly sought after, with prices typically ranging between $200,000 and $1 million, depending on the scale and provenance. Her works are part of major museum collections globally, and collectors value them not only for their technical power, but for their uncompromising truth. William Kentridge. William Kentridge is one of the most celebrated and influential drawing artists in the world today, a South African master whose work combines drawing, film, performance, and theatre to explore memory, power, and the passage of time. Born in 1955 in Johannesburg, Kentridge has spent his entire career using drawing as both a thinking tool and a storytelling language. Kentridge's drawings are instantly recognizable, expressive, gestural, and alive with movement. He often works in charcoal and pastel, embracing smudges, erasures, and reworking as essential parts of the image. For him, the act of drawing is not about perfection but process, a record of thought in motion. He once said that drawing is an improvisation in slow motion, and his work truly embodies that idea. In his iconic stop-motion animations, Kentridge brings his drawings to life, erasing and redrawing figures frame by frame to create moving images that feel handmade and human. Through these evolving marks, he tells complex stories about South Africa's history, from apartheid to its aftermath, and about the broader human struggle with guilt, loss, and redemption. His work bridges poetry and politics. Each drawing feels like a meditation on how history leaves its traces, on paper, in memory, and on the body. Over the years, Kentridge's art has been shown at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, the Tate Modern in London, and the Louvre in Paris. He has represented South Africa at the Venice Biennale and received major retrospectives worldwide. In the art market, his drawings are highly prized, with prices typically ranging between $200,000 and $1.2 million, depending on scale, medium, and provenance. Collectors see them not only as standalone artworks, but as fragments of his larger universe, each piece connected to his films, operas, and installations. As of 2025, William Kentridge continues to live and work in Johannesburg, producing new drawings and performances that explore the fragility of memory and the resilience of imagination.